Test.
I'm Sarah Lynch, and you are listening to Your Next Move, Audio Edition, produced by Inc. and Capital One Business. For this season, we gathered a bevy of conversations with entrepreneurs who made last year's Inc. 5000 list. They joined us in our Your Next Move booth at the Inc. 5000 to share lessons learned and anecdotes from building their businesses. In this episode, Inc. staff reporter Ali Donaldson interviewed Gennaro Cavazos. He is the founder of GXC. They're ranked number 188 on the 2024 Inc. 5000 list, and they're a security company offering advanced metal detection and protection services. Ali started the conversation by asking Gennaro how the company grew so much so quickly. What do you attribute to that fast growth?
My team. You want to go fast, go alone, want to go far, bring a team. And as I've spoken to a lot of people here at this conference, I get that same question. How did you make it into the 2,000 plus revenue multiplier? Did you hire a lot of subject matter experts? Did you, how did you pull it off? And I said, I typically say, no, I actually made it a point to not hire a single person with experience in the job that they're doing. What I've learned, if you do what you want to do, as opposed to what you have to do, you will be a lot more successful, and you unlock the power of the person when they're working from a place of passion. And it was a bit of a gamble. It's a lot of faith, and some people would consider me so hopelessly optimistic that I'm naive, but I do believe in people chasing what they're after. So to be honest with you, we built this place by making sure that nobody was stuck in the throes of the place they left.
I really like that. And also I'm curious too, when people don't have that background, do you feel like you don't have to break bad habits, that everyone's starting from kind of square one of what your company does?
Absolutely. I am a huge opponent of the way it's always been, and this is how it's been done. And I share that same philosophy. Well, if it was so great, respectfully, why aren't you still there? So I want to be careful to not allow a culture to develop where it's like folks that move from one state to another and they start voting for whatever it is that they left and that they tried to get away from. That is probably one of the biggest challenges we face, is you don't want to make it appear that you're critical of somebody and their experience and like you don't value it, but also it's like, please keep in mind, this place isn't that place, which is why you're here. So let's be careful.
And so when you are hiring in this way, where it's not the specific experience they've done before, but it's more those intangibles, the things you can't teach, how do you find those people? How do you hire that right person?
I actually have a method I use. It's not my own method. It's one that
Shared lessons learned, and you are listening to Your Next Move, Audio Edition.
To meet your business needs. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
I'm Sarah Lynch, and you are listening to Your Next Move, Audio Edition, produced by Inc. and Capital One Business. For this season, we gathered a bevy of conversations with entrepreneurs who made last year's Inc. 5000 list. They joined us in our Your Next Move booth at the Inc. 5000 to share lessons learned and anecdotes from building their businesses. In this episode, Inc. staff reporter Ali Donaldson interviewed Gennaro Cavazos. He is the founder of GXC. They're ranked number 188 on the 2024 Inc. 5000 list, and they're a security company offering advanced metal detection and protection services. Ali started the conversation by asking Gennaro how the company grew so much so quickly.
What do you attribute to that fast growth?
My team. You want to go fast, go alone, want to go far, bring a team. And as I've spoken to a lot of people here at this conference, I get that same question. How did you make it into the 2,000 plus revenue multiplier? Did you hire a lot of subject matter experts? Did you, how did you pull it off? And I said, I typically say, no, I actually made it a point to not hire a single person with experience in the job that they're doing. What I've learned, if you do what you want to do, as opposed to what you have to do, you will be a lot more successful, and you unlock the power of the person when they're working from a place of passion. And it was a bit of a gamble. It's a lot of faith, and some people would consider me so hopelessly optimistic that I'm naive, but I do believe in people chasing what they're after. So To be honest with you, we built this place by making sure that nobody was stuck in the throes of the place they left.
I really like that. And also, I'm curious too, when people don't have that background, do you feel like you don't have to break bad habits, that everyone's starting from kind of square one of what your company does?
Absolutely. I am a huge opponent of the way it's always been, and this is how it's been done. And I share that same philosophy. Well, if it was so great, respectfully, why aren't you still there? So I want to be careful to not allow a culture to develop where it's like folks that move from one state to another and they start voting for whatever it is that they left and that they tried to get away from. That is probably one of the biggest challenges we face is you don't want to make it appear that you're critical of somebody and their experience and like you don't value it, but also it's like, please keep in mind, this place isn't that place, which is why you're here. So let's be careful.
And so when you are hiring in this way where it's not the specific experience they've done before, but it's more those intangibles, the things you can't teach, how do you find those people? How do you hire that right person?
I actually have a method I use. It's not my own method. It's one that I found to be incredibly effective. You have a hypothetical conversation with them and you deal 5 years in the future. And I'm going to give you 10 statements, 10 declarative statements, and you're going to fill in, almost like a Mad Libs exercise, what it is that you've done. So one would be, I've purchased, I've accomplished, I've developed, I've learned, and we go through 10 of them. And every single time I've done this, I've been able to pick the exact one that falls under this next criteria, which is the next round of questioning. Let's pretend I have a magic wand. I can only make one of these things come true, and it's guaranteed. Which one of these do you want to make sure 100% come true? And based on how somebody responds to these questions as I'm asking, I can always pick because I'm good at understanding what you are actually into. Some people will say, I've learned how to become a good employee at GXC. Okay, that's manufactured, right? Some people say, I've purchased a home for my mother because one of the things I always wanted to do when I was a child was provide for my parents the same way they provided for me.
So do you find that most people will answer that combination of both professional and personal?
Yes, and I'm very careful to tell them, and I'm very direct. I'll say, if I feel you're giving me an answer I want to hear, I'm going to stop you, and I'm going to ask you to try again. I don't want you to tell me what you think I want to hear. I want you to tell me what you feel. And typically, the people that really commit to the exercise, the ones that can feel vulnerable enough to work from a place of passion and start talking about things that have nothing to do with the job, those are the ones that you know will be free to pursue that passion and address whatever issues there are in the most functional way that's going to allow them to be successful, and the organization benefits from that.
That's really interesting. And so you find too, when someone says, well, the most important thing is I want to buy my mom a house.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really good employee.
And the final one is, okay, I can't guarantee that. I don't have a magic wand to make that happen. Tell me your plan to make that happen in the next 5 years. And that's where you really find out their ability to problem solve. Start with the end in mind, work your way back. Let me hear how you can critically think. Now I've just put some pressure on you. You said this is your dream. You said this is a goal. How do you plan to accomplish it? And those that successfully navigate those 3 phases of that exercise, those are typically the ones that have been just phenomenal. We have no attrition. Nobody leaves, which is great, which is very difficult for a security-based company.
Really? Is there a lot of turnover in the industry?
Yes. So we, as I said, protection from a staffing standpoint as well as technology. In the staffing industry, in the security world, it's typically one predicated on seeing how low you could drive the wage down, which drives down the talent, so that they can pick up volume and generate revenue that way. And what happens is the client ends up not receiving a high value or great services, which increases risk. And you find yourself then in a chicken or the egg situation, right? If you're not happy with the services you're getting, and I'm billing you, let's just say $30 an hour. Here comes GXC and we say, it's going to cost you $40. Well, they're going to look at their existing provider and say, I can't get the same people to show up on my site. Their people show up different shades of effective, we'll say. Why am I going to pay more when this is my understanding of security as a whole? So we come in with a different perspective of you will get what you pay for, check our resume kind of thing, because we focus on getting the wages up for the employees. That makes them stick around, right? And we do other things like every employee gets an Amazon gift card for their birthday. We find different ways to kind of promote the group and the team. And when they feel like they're part of something, why would you leave?
And do you think that race to the bottom in terms of pricing is the biggest challenge facing the security industry?
Ooh, I would say it's a big one because a lot of the larger organizations, I don't know if you're familiar with the Astro World issue from a couple years back where there was a giant crowd push. Several people passed from this, and that is a consequence of that type of security mentality. Very unpopular opinion, but by and large, when you don't have professionals that can help mitigate these types of things, manning the gates, manning the front of the line, that is what occurs. That's part of the race to the bottom. The biggest race to the bottom is a lack of investment in security organizations in taking the chance to professionalize the people that they're paying at a lower rate, to give them an opportunity to grow beyond that for themselves. It takes a certain type of person to know that for the same pay you could get at McDonald's wrapping a burger, you risk getting punched in the face for at a gate, right? So you have to dig into the psychology of that person and why they choose to do that. You're there for a reason, right? And if I can unpack that reason and I can make a modest investment and give you all the resources possible to grow your personal training portfolio, and you actually do it, well, then now I'm going to help you up because you're helping yourself. So I think the biggest problem in the race to the bottom exists because it's an overall lack of investment in the people that really may want to do this for real.
The fact that you're in this industry that has a lot of different competitors, they may be undercutting you on price. How do you stand out? What has been the most effective marketing hacks for you?
You know what? The first core belief I have is I have no true competition. What I mean is I'm my competition. If I'm not unpacking different ways to re-present and remarket and redefine security concepts and deliver them to the customer in a way that they can understand them and that I can clearly articulate how I'm going to solve their problem while providing value in our service, well, that's part of it. The other part of that is we more focus on the professionalized solution. So when we're underbid, it is like okay, you will get what you pay for. And security is one of those industries that you don't need it until you need it. You don't budget for it until you have to. But know that security budget, since it's not proactively developed, at least on a scale that you might need it to be after something terrible happens, it has to come from other parts of the organization. So other parts of the organization now suffer to develop the security budget, and they typically shortfall it.
Engineer, I'm curious, after you've given some clients that message, you get what you're paid for, okay, walk away. Have you had some of them come back later in the future?
The actual first contract we ever won with GXC, it was a library chain out in Long Island, New York. And we did a walkthrough. And I'm the type of person that it's always guaranteed to be a no if you don't ask the question, right? You never know what you can do. And when you do speak your mind and be transparent and approach things with a radical type candor, you can't unring that bell as long as you deliver the message properly. So people can't unhear things. So we're doing this walkthrough, and I see some of the other organizations that provide the type of services, the race to the bottom services I'm talking about. And I pull the director aside and I say, I want you to know, some people would see it as arrogant. I see it as assuredness and understanding the market. If you hire any of these other organizations, you're going to regret it. They're going to be cheaper than me, but I'm going to solve your problems. 3 weeks go by, we submit the bid. This company bid a full $1 an hour less than we did, which is a good amount. That's a really good amount.
That adds up.
They hire that company because the board mandated that they do that because they were lower on price. And 3 weeks after that, into the start of the contract, a displaced person comes into the library, gets on the computer and starts looking at things you probably shouldn't look at in a public library. And the library staff, looking for the security officer, trying to find him, asks the man, hey, I need you to stop doing that, please. Can you please leave the library? And he proceeds to pick up a chair and start swinging it. While this is going on, the security officer happens to sneak in, sign in, of course, 2 hours past his shift start time to try to make it seem like he was there. And they called me the next day and said, we want you to provide these services. So the first question was, how can we help? Can you match their bill rate? I cannot. The answer isn't you pay less. The answer is you buy less, because we have a value to maintain, and I can't cheapen my employees. Livable wage, make them feel like they're part of something, make them be able to support their families, and they'll protect that place like their own home.
And I imagine, too, that that's an easier sell to when you're talking to clients to say, remember, these are people. They've got families. They've got bills to pay.
Absolutely.
When we come back, Ali speaks to Gennaro about the different ways clients find his company and where people are looking for security firms. But first, a quick break.
our tag and our company motto is people, protection, and process. And security is a combination of those three things. And if you cheapen or shorten any one of those three, you're not going to have a protective posture that you're needing to really actually make a difference in keeping people safe.
Janelle, you walked me through sort of your pitch. Where are the avenues that clients find you? Where are people looking for security firms?
Unfortunately, we are the type of organization and the commodity we offer in metal detection and weapons detection technology that we're typically called after the fact. And that's a very difficult space to work from because now everybody's afraid. And a lot of the other organizations who might try to offer what we do and do it how we do it, they more focus on the fact that it happened and upsell. We stick with solve the problem. Classic risk mitigation. Let me address the actual credible threats. Let me supplement you with technology that's going to solve your problem. Let me help you with the people that are going to work that technology. And let me develop you a consistent process. The pitfall of this is because what we do is typically reaction-based only by an organization's inability to prioritize being proactive, marketing this is a double-edged sword. So imagine you're safe at work, right? And you get an email from a security company that says, hey, you should be screening for weapons detection here. Would you like to buy this metal detector? No, I've never had a metal detector. So it's almost like you're marketing fear. Well, if you don't have it, it's only a matter of time, or you probably should, right? And that's a difficult space to work from because you don't want your brand to be associated with that type of emotional approach to driving people to buy, right? People buy emotionally. That's one of the oldest concepts of sales. People buy emotionally. The problem is you can't put someone in that emotional headspace and expect to be successful because people never remember what you say or do. They'll remember how you made them feel. If you make them feel unsafe, they're not going to buy from you. But just marketing that product is essentially insinuating they're unsafe. You need weapons detection, metal detection here. You need security here. Well, do I? Nothing's ever happened.
So knowing that, do you avoid things like cold outreach or advertisements?
I am of the thought, and this might be a bit of a contradiction because I say I don't have competition. I do try to find out what my competition does and do something completely different. So we take an approach that is sort of having us embed ourselves on your team as sort of an unpaid consultant, right? And they say, don't ever do free consulting. It's nonsense. In our industry, if you do not help people understand the gaps they have, they don't even know they exist. It's classic tree falls in the woods, make a sound, right? If I can show you that based on crime statistics or data, employee interviews, that you've had 17 assaults in the last year, that you might have known about maybe 3 of them, well, then maybe we should mitigate that vulnerability with a countermeasure.
Here's a tip for growing your business. Get the Venture X business card from Capital One and start earning unlimited double miles on every purchase. That's right. With unlimited double miles, the more your business spends, the more miles you earn. Plus, the Venture X business card has no preset spending limit, so your purchasing power can adapt to meet your business needs. The Venture X business card also includes access to over 1,000 airport lounges. Just imagine where the Venture X business card from Capital One can take your business. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/VentureXBusiness.
So it takes a different type of approach to market, and it's a very long pipeline. But once you are successful, you're not going to be stopped. The one time we successfully marketed proactively to an organization that did not have a lot of ambition on, number one, even thinking it was possible to be done. Number two, understanding how it can actually be executed, was the Indianapolis 500. The Indianapolis 500 brings in nearly 350,000 spectators every year. It's a one-day event.
I've heard from some friends from there that it's a wild time.
It is. And it is
like
the
you've never seen
world's
more beer in your life.
Single largest event, right? And interestingly enough, if you have to screen with a metal detector, think of all that beer coming through. How do you screen people for weapons with thousands upon thousands of cans of beer coming in? Well, that's where we come in, right? The technology we use is not cheap, but it is the world's leading technology combined with our processes. We did a 20-minute quick documentary on it because it was history. It's the first time ever they screened. It was wildly successful, and I knew it was going to be because we planned. And we had people saying, this is the fastest I've ever gotten in the Indianapolis 500 ever. You implemented metal detection. I thought it was going to be slow, but what they don't realize is that the people paired with good protection technology, and the process of queuing people and moving people is a science. Moving them safely is it's chemistry, right? So we were able to pull that all off, and, proud of that because it's literally history. There's only one biggest event in the world. And it was a feather in our cap that, hey, everybody, if you think that your organization cannot undergo the same type of transformation without compromising the confidence you have in your existing security parameters, it can be done.
And so when you created this video around it, this sort of mini documentary, like what did you do with it then? Do you put it on YouTube? Do you splice it up to put on social? Because I think people weirdly like lines is a thing I think people like to watch on social media, those like sped up line videos. And we all hate waiting through security. So it's like if you see people going fast, I could see that, catching some fire on social media.
Time lapse is huge, but also time lapse doesn't tell the story.
Yeah.
A time lapse can actually, from a weapons detection and screening standpoint, look unsafe. Like, all those people going through so fast, are they even being screened? Well, of course they are. I put it on LinkedIn. I know you're supposed to tell your story, right? You're supposed to market yourself. You're supposed to scream to the rooftops. This is the first money I've actually spent on marketing in terms of coming to this gala, like the flights and all that, and because we've not had to market. But the pitfall I face is what I spoke about earlier. If I do promote this stuff and I do market this stuff, is the message going to be received by the person that's sitting there that doesn't yet have the problem? Is it going to be received well enough that it can cause them to get in motion and let that inertia carry itself through a successful implementation of technology based on a budget that has to be developed, based on money that wasn't there, that's being taken from other avenues of the organization? It's a very difficult climb, which is why I think we've graduated into that organization that people call when something does go wrong, from schools around the country. We do a lot with trying to donate to these schools, like after a school shooting or something. I have a fleet of metal detectors that if I'm not using them, take them, please, right? Like, please.
And I'm curious for you, Gennaro, as a founder in this difficult space where it can be really, I think, emotionally difficult that you and your team are showing up after something horrible happens. How do you do that? How do you take care of yourself and your team?
I've never had a problem leading with my heart. Vulnerability is not a problem for me. I was born in 83, so I'm sort of like a dawn of millennial age here. I don't know if it's a new way of approaching it, but I lead with vulnerability and understanding empathetically. I have two 10-year-old daughters, and they are my world. And I approach every single job that I'm on, every single major high-profile event that I'm part of. I have to walk my kids in here, right? And if I'm going to walk my kids in here, what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to put in the time. I'm going to put in the effort, the thought process. I'm going to bend around your budget as best as I possibly can, right? And just make it work. I don't let it consume me. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I had a couple combat tours in the Marine Corps and was a federal law enforcement officer after that. So I've been around environments that will cause you to be able to function when others might focus more on what happened, and I'm focusing on how does it not happen again. And that calmness that I think is entered post catastrophic or critical event unintentionally ends up becoming a great selling point because everybody's on fire. I'll give you a quick one. State Fair of Texas last year. We were actually there, and we put metal detectors all around the fair. It's the largest fair in the country. They put, I think, like 3 to 4 million people through there over the course of 23 days. And somehow a weapon got in, and it's still an investigation. And so I know what happened, right? And what I know is that if that weapon passed through our detectors, it did its job. I know this to be true. And I get the call, 8 o'clock at night. I'm in New York. This just happened. I get on the first flight, 4 a.m. out of New York, get down to Dallas. And I stayed there long enough to be able to eventually speak with the public relations person for the State Fair. Very, very lovely person. And you're talking about the emotion on the back end of something like that happening. It's supposed to be a family fair. 30 to 40 years had gone by since anything like this had happened, but her job is to now present a strong front to the community, let them know it's safe to come in. And I was told it was a badge of honor I should wear proudly that they let me step out in front and help the State Fair and the community talk through this. I did several media opportunities and several media sessions to help everybody understand that you are safe here. These types of things can and will happen, but what was done already prevented it from being even more catastrophic.
It kind of reminds me what happened with the Taylor Swift concert being canceled in Europe of like, that's because people were doing exactly what they needed to do and found that out and was working with law enforcement.
Absolutely. And that's all it is, collaboration, right? There's always I find that as people, we desperately search for closure to try to make sense of something that you technically cannot make sense of. And that's actually where trauma is born. When you can't complete that cycle of thought process and find rationality or place rationality to what happened or can rationalize what happened, it becomes scarring. And while everybody else is trying to work through that cycle, I saw my first combat at 19 years old. I learned how to close that cycle pretty fast, right? So then begin the problem solving process. And I think that's ended up being a really, really important part of our organization. And it's not just me. I have other like-minded military, I'm a service-disabled veteran-owned business, minority-owned business. I love hiring veterans. And I love hiring veterans because I know if something breaks bad, chances are these folks have been paid before to experience things like this. And it's all about that calming sense, whereas everybody's trying to stir the chaos, the media, people affected, of course, right? We are the ones that come through and say, we got it. Okay, there's a way out of this.
Well, Gennaro, thank you so much.
My
Really
pleasure.
appreciate your time. This has been great.
Thank you so much for
I could
letting me
speak
do
to you
this.
for a whole nother hour.
That's all for this episode of Your Next Move. Our producers are Blake Odom and Avery.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the third quarter GXC Town Hall. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in already to join us. As you know, we do this every quarter. I am Gennaro Cavazos, the CEO of GXC. We do this every quarter to make sure that we're maintaining a good level of transparency with our team. A lot of things we hear is that folks don't know what's going on. They don't know, what the company does. So the whole goal of this is to just share with you not just what we do, but share with you some of your teammates, some of the people that are doing really great work around the country and around the world for us. The goal of this is to make everybody feel informed and involved and just have a really good understanding of what it is we're doing and, again, where we're doing it. As always, I start with a brief history and overview of GXC. We're constantly adding new teammates all around. So if you've heard this before, please understand there are people that are not. So I'll run through it as quickly as I can, but I want to make sure that people know exactly who everyone is. So we were founded in 2017. We have three primary lines of business. Number one being our protective security division, where we provide armed and unarmed security officers throughout the country, predominantly armed in very critical spaces. For example, the Department of Homeland Security's Federal Protective Service is a huge client of ours. It makes up the majority of the team members of this entire organization. We do security work, both armed and unarmed, with executive protection officers and unarmed protective security officers who screen for a lot of Broadway theaters. So you'll find us in some really important places. That division's led by Jason Martinez and his deputy director, Kelsey Robertson. We have multiple contract managers who help kind of make the world go round for us and for our team. Stephen Martinez, who is our Holtzville contract manager up here in Long Island, New York, helping protect the IRS facility. Tara Barrett, who works out of Delaware, helps oversee the Delaware state contract for all the Federal Protective Service security officers there, as well as the officers in the Wabash building in Maryland. And Chris Urbina, who is chiefly responsible for ensuring that Broadway is taken care of and the oversight of over 100 officers alone in that portfolio. Second line of business, our countermeasure division. We have a couple different things within the countermeasure division, or really just two that we focus on. We have our field services and we have our technical operations. Our field service arm is a group of nearly 30 technicians who are responsible for going and repairing, installing, and maintaining CHEA metal detectors and X-ray systems. We get a majority of the work directly from CHEA, the manufacturer, and have a tremendous relationship with them, and that's kind of helped bridge the gap to other technologies and opportunities. In our technical operations section within the countermeasure division, that's where we have our fleet of metal detectors that we rent throughout the world. I'll go through some of the events that we've covered here in the last 90 days or so. We have a fleet of nearly 600 metal detectors that just float around the country, keeping people safe. That's led by Chris Kruger, who's the director of operations for the countermeasure division. In the technical operations side, we have Unique Rodriguez, who's the technical operations manager. We'll touch on her arrival here in a minute. Cameron Dietrich, who was just recently promoted to the assistant technical operations manager. On our field services side, that's led by Shaylin Pitkin, who's our field services manager. And he is supported heavily and well by Nicole Drago, who is our field services coordinator. Finally, third line, we have our business office, who's chiefly responsible for going out and developing new opportunities, whether they be equipment rental opportunities, sales opportunities for schools, theaters, all types of different venues, just kind of growing the GXC portfolio. And they're chiefly responsible for bringing all of the divisions operationally together with the work that they source and they go out and find. That's led by Matt Hempfling, who's our chief business officer. Lane Sands, who's the director of account management. He oversees the account managers who primarily do the hunting. They go out and they find the opportunities for organizations that are looking to put protective measures in place, hopefully proactively. And then he's supported by account managers Ross Sands, Matt Portnoy, Josh Flory, and also Tony Pelosi, who is our quality assurance specialist. Tony's got a really important job where a lot of organizations, they choose to complete a transaction with their customers. They set it, forget it, never hear from them again. Tony's got the very daunting task of constantly following back up with these clients, ensuring that they're taken care of, ensuring that their technology is working as designed, and with all the turnover that they have in their organization, making sure people are getting retrained and just making sure that they keep realizing the return on investment of any technology that they've bought. So that's a very important role. Matt is assisted by Allison McHenry, who's our business development administrative assistant. She's chiefly responsible for helping us put together these Federal Protective Service proposals to help us win that business, as well as other opportunities about the country. Our finance division is headed up by Jessie Cavazos, who's our chief financial officer, and she's supported by Wendy Romanello, who's our director of finance, Elizabeth Niles, who's our financial administrator, Brittany Johnson, Trisha Wingert, who is our payroll director, who's assisted by Brittany Johnson, our payroll specialist, and then Marissa Corbett, who's our financial administrative assistant. We also have the human resources section, headed up by Leah Croce, who's our human resources director. She's assisted by Amber Pitkin, who's our government contract specialist. If you're on one of the FPS contracts, Amber's the one making sure that the CBA is being complied with and making sure that we're doing what we have to do to honor our commitment and obligations as your employer. And Brittany Crosby is the human resources administrative assistant, helps Leah put the programs together, making sure that new teammates are onboarded properly, all their information stored properly. And then finally, the Office of the Chief of Staff is headed up by Angela Washington, who is our Chief of Staff. And she is helped in her office by Joshua George, who's our Director of Asset Management. He's responsible for ensuring that the vast resources that GXC has acquired asset-wise are accounted for, that our technicians get good gear, that our protective security officers get good equipment. He helps keep that all together. John Peck is our quality control manager. Really has turned into a right hand of sorts for our entire organization with a lot of his initiatives and his drive to understand technology. If there is a problem that you cannot solve, I will put money on John Peck being able to solve it. He is just relentless in his pursuits to overcome a problem. And also we have Malcolm Eastman, who's our IT manager, information technology manager. He helps maintain all of our systems, make sure everything gets running, make sure my computer works well enough to be able to do this on a quarterly basis. So thank you. So that's our corporate team. It's important that I share that with everybody so that, again, they know who everybody is, that they hear these names, and they know sort of how robust our back office is. Some growth highlights and key milestones here. We cannot stop growing at the moment. Our responsibility keeps rapidly expanding. And it's a testament to how well everybody has done their jobs. If clients were not happy with the type of services that are being provided, we would not be afforded the opportunity to be given more responsibility. So I hear a lot about the rapid growth and when will we slow down? And the answer is when everybody stops doing such a good job, because word of mouth and people getting what they pay for is always going to be what people chase. And it's a testament to just the level of professionals we have around this place that we can't stop growing. In the next 3 to 6 months, at a minimum, we will be adding nearly 150 more protective security officers. Realistically, it's probably more. The federal space is one that we have performed very well in. Again, at the leadership of Jason Martinez and Kelsey and the contract managers there, we can't stop growing in that space, which is fantastic. We continue to recruit nationwide, especially for the countermeasure technician positions, as our requirements for installing metal detectors and here soon X-rays just keeps growing and growing and growing. I'm projecting that we have to land somewhere around 50 technicians by the close of 2026 in order to have a successful 2026. So if you're part of our organization already and you're looking for growth and opportunities to do something new but stick within the guidelines of this security realm, the countermeasure technician's an opportunity that you should be looking at. It's a very fast moving job, a lot of travel, but takes you to some very interesting places, helping protect some of the most important and most critical places in the world, and sometimes seeing really awesome shows and being part of really cool venues and events. And there's a lot of good there. It takes a certain type of person to be able to do that job, and the technicians we have are far and above more than I could have ever hoped for. So we're looking to add to that team, again, under the guidance and leadership of Chris Kruger. Major events and future operations. Over the last 90 days, we have supported over 70 events with nearly 900 different metal detectors deployed at different points. Some of those successful events include the MLB Speedway Classic at Bristol, Tennessee. For the first time ever, they played a MLB game inside the Bristol Speedway. Put 73 different open gates there, which was great. The Minnesota State Fair, one of the largest layouts of open gates at a fair, if not the largest, actually. I would say it is 52 open gates. Team just got back in early September from Sao Paulo, Brazil. They were there for the Chiefs and Chargers game, ensuring that everybody got in safely to the stadium there. Came back. NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, 41 open gates. And we also had the honor of helping with the World Club Cup at MetLife Stadium. And we're going to be responsible for helping with the World Cup in 2026, the actual World Cup. As you know, or you may not know, the final for the World Cup is going to be held at MetLife Stadium here in the Northeast in New Jersey. And GXC has been already tabbed to support that event. So a lot of really important places and events and places where people gather, they're turning to us to keep them safe and our team to keep the technology up and running. And it's really something to be proud of. Over the last couple months, really it's a year now, we've been undergoing a digital transformation. This really more affects the countermeasure side as well as finance for the time being. Trying to optimize the way we run our business through Salesforce. It's not without its hiccups and not without its challenges, but really great team that's being very persistent and pushing through those changes. As we move along in the years to come, every single aspect of our business will be fed through Salesforce, from our protective security division to HR to finance. It's all going to be moving through Salesforce as we push for optimization to try to make people not have to work so hard to do their jobs. The unfortunate downside of that is when you're going through this type of technology change and enhancement and innovation for the first time, you don't know what you don't know. So I would say it wouldn't be far-fetched for it to be called very frustrating thus far, but the resilience of the team and their ability to stick after it is what's going to be what powers us through. And I have no doubts that we're going to get there. And as we continue to push into the future, we'll continue to look for different opportunities to enhance and innovate and digitally transform the entire organization. Nothing is off limits. Development and career growth. As we've said before, we are an organization of development and growth. I get challenged often when I do see folks out in the field about what can we do for you? And I understand where that comes from. And typically what I respond with is that time should never be an indicator of advancement or growth or development. You do get out what you put in. And I try to put it in terms so that people can understand that it's not that we don't want to do more for everyone and anyone. We do. We always do. But in business, you have to think about it in terms of investment, right? If somebody invests in themselves, then somebody else will want to invest in you as well, right? If you're doing what you want to do and have to do to push yourself further and develop yourself, you're going to create quicker opportunities for you to seek advancement than waiting for that annual review to come back around to see if you did the job as, we had asked you to, and if you did it excellent or you did it average or you did it well, right? So you can create different opportunities for growth. And 1,000 times out of 1,000, if we can promote from within, that's what we want to do. We want to give the opportunities for growth and development to people that are already inside the doors. As I said before, the fact that people get inside the door here, we already have a high bar. If you perform well, right, and you push yourself outside your comfort zone and you develop a little bit, you push yourself to, spend the educational budget that you're allotted if you have one associated with your position, well, then you'll be ready for those opportunities. That combined with a good attitude and a good effort, that's all it really takes here. We'll continue to push pathways for our officers to grow. Specifically, I'm talking about our unarmed officers. We actually have one who just completed that transition. I'm excited to talk about that because all of what I'm basically giving receipts here, right? I could sit up here as a CEO and say whatever, like, we believe this but I'm gonna give you all good solid examples of actually how it happens, right? To show you that it's not we just say something and we get to walk away without it being true. We have proof and case studies on people that have taken advantage of these growth and development pathways and have changed the trajectory of their careers. So whether you're an unarmed officer looking to become armed, or whether you're, an unarmed officer looking to maybe be a countermeasure technician, or a technician looking to do armed security work, or, if you're a technician looking to move into account management and help customers solve their problems from a risk mitigation standpoint, there's endless opportunity around here because of how much we're growing for everybody to be able to chase what it is they might like if we have something that they're interested in. But that does require effort on your part as well. And I hope people take advantage of that, because I know that the ones that do, they've received that validation and vindication from their effort and their hard work. And again, I'll share that with you in a little bit. You must commit to your own growth and development. I can't do it for you. I cannot do it for you. Your supervisor can't do it for you. Nobody can do it for you. It's something that you have to initiate and you have to commit to and you have to stick to. If not, you'll constantly be waiting for somebody to come and bring it to you. And I don't know how much that's worked out for anybody in the past. So the point is, it's always progress over perfection. Keep yourself moving forward. I'd rather you take an inch step forward than not move your feet at all, or heaven forbid, take a step back. So don't be afraid to be bold. Don't be afraid to push yourself. There's nothing wrong with wanting more for yourself at all. And with that in mind, want to make sure that we're using these town halls as an opportunity to recognize teammates that have done exceptionally well. And I've said this before, and I don't know that I ever say it in a way that makes people feel good inside, but I hope you understand what I'm going for. Your paycheck is a byproduct of you doing your job, right? Kudos for doing your job are far and few in between, because that's the basis of the agreement that we have in our relationship. If you do your job, we agree that you will make this on a weekly or biweekly basis. If you want more out of that, well, then doing things that are exceptional are called for, and that's how you get the recognition. So I made sure we had the team go back and cull through our roster and just highlight some of the people that are doing some really solid work for us. So I'm going to lead this off with Werner Blakely, who is one of our countermeasure technicians. He joined us after the ESCO and GXC, or the acquisition of ESCO by GXC last December. I got to work alongside Werner at the Indianapolis 500. Absolutely great man, and really proud to have him here. So he was submitted. Werner Blakely is a longtime events and security professional who had previously worked with the Detroit Lions and ESCO before coming to the GXC family, where he's also now introduced his son Christian into the GXC countermeasure technician fold. It's another thing that we like to do here. We like to stick with what works in a way, right? So Werner's great man. Obviously, his son comes from great stock. Let's give him a chance. Let's give him an opportunity. If you were tuned in before the town hall started, you might have heard me talk in the beginning of the podcast about we typically don't hire people based on what they did before they came here. When we first stood the company up, a lot of people that were part of the key infrastructure of this place, to include me, I'd never been a CEO before. Angela had never been a chief of staff before. Jesse had never been a CFO before. Matt had never been chief business officer, and so on and so on and so on and so on. We tap into the power of the person, right? And Werner is that high caliber of a person that we sort of immediately knew that his son would be a great fit. And by all accounts, his son's doing incredibly well as well, on his own merit, by the way, right? Because that might get you in the door, but there's still that high bar that you have to achieve, that great attitude, that great effort, and that ability and desire to do a great job. So the relationship will open the door, but it's going to be your feet that help you walk through, and your own rear end that helps you park yourself there. So in addition to to Werner's enthusiasm to learn the newest technologies and best practices, Werner's consistently showing up at a pinch to volunteer to make himself available for events. Also talked about in the podcast how last minute a lot of this stuff is with our clients, right? When something goes wrong, they're looking for a response, for a fix pretty fast. So they'll call us up, and Crew and his team, work really hard to reshuffle everybody where they must. And people like Werner answer the call on a voluntary basis to get up and go. The wins of Werner's ability and desire to volunteer are numerous. Time and time again, Werner stepped up to help on scores of technical operations events, including the most recent last-minute, are you kidding me, next-day request to fly in from Detroit to LaGuardia Airport in New York to work an Apple event in Manhattan at Rockefeller Center on September 18th. We do a lot of work with Apple. They pop up. But Werner, big help there. So wanted to give Werner a shout-out for what he's done and how he's done it. Next is Elizabeth Niles on our finance team. I say this with the utmost sincerity, love, respect, and appreciation for Elizabeth Niles. She is the person I want knocking on my door the least because she's a sniper and does not miss. So if she's knocking on my door, it's because I let her down because she's really great, really, really great at her job. So big shout out to Elizabeth Niles, soon to be our new financial integrity and budgetary specialist, a promotion from a financial administrator to a new promotion to financial integrity and budgetary specialist. She's been a huge help during the Salesforce implementation, stepping up as the go-to between finance and the Salesforce system. And John Peck and Elizabeth Niles on a team are a deadly combination. I can tell you that. Through this busy stretch in the financial department, she made sure Jesse and Wendy could keep moving forward without missing a beat. With her knowledge of the business, she made sure our department's needs were heard and met, which made all the difference in getting things done right. That is Liz Niles to a T. So congratulations, Liz. Thank you for all you do. You really do make this place much better by being here. Next up is Kelsey Robertson from our Protective Security Division. And I'll say just kind of off the cuff, there's not been, there's another person who they're also on this list who's had a pretty meteoric rise, but I don't know that there's been another that matches Kelsey's drive and push with what she's done as part of this organization. The Protective Security Division, as I said, it makes up a majority of our business, our teammates, right? And Kelsey and her just absolute unrelenting pursuit to solve every problem has proven herself to be, just one of the most reliable people we have in our entire organization. So she was written up Division Director Martinez wanted to recognize Ms. Robertson for her performance and contributions to the Protective Security Division. Ms. Robertson is our soon-to-be new Protective Security Division Deputy Division Director, another promotion, and she's been instrumental to the overall advancement of the division. Day in and day out, Ms. Robertson contributes to our division's success. Her performance, achievements, and commitment to excellence bring value not only to the Protective Security Division, but also to the entire GXC enterprise, and I would not disagree. Her knowledge, efficiency, and mentoring of peers in all areas of the division continually fosters a positive workplace culture. She makes sure our department gets things done. Her continued dedication, work ethic, and performance make a significant positive impact within the division. Some of you out there, you've worked with Kelsey directly. She's helped you through TrackTick, which is, can be sometimes a bit of a daunting piece of software. Like, very patient, very resilient, and just can't say enough great things about Kelsey. So thank you, Kelsey. Truly honored to have you here. Next is John Peck. Out of the Office of Chief of Staff, our Quality Control Manager. Over the past year, John has managed and served as the project manager leading the implementation and rollout of Salesforce, a platform which is transforming how our entire company operates. John's gone above and beyond in this role, immersing himself fully in every aspect of the platform. He's worn many hats throughout the process, functioning as a project manager, developer, and troubleshooter. His dedication, expertise, and hands-on approach ensured that Salesforce was not only successfully launched, but also positioned for long-term success. Quite simply, without John's contributions, this implementation would not have been possible. His leadership and commitment have been instrumental in driving this project forward, and we are grateful for his impact on this organization. John is a bit of a unicorn of sorts. We met John Peck in the backwoods of State College at Penn State University, where he helped us serve as a security officer and was immediately promoted to a gate lead because he just had this ability to take responsibility and do really well with it, and always a selfless act of what he was trying to accomplish. It was never a look at me type thing. Very, very, very outwardly motivated. But also, the man's a killer. He doesn't mince words, and he doesn't particularly dance around people's sensitivities at times. But that's why I love him. He really does put it on the line for us and help us become a better organization. And downstream, his impact is really, really outstanding. Just give me 1 second here. I must do something real quick. Slide this back just a moment. Bear with me, folks. Something I did not account for. That's how you know it's live, because if it wasn't, I would not be doing this right now. I would have cut this out. So appreciate your patience there while I got this figured out. So thank you, John Peck. Next is PSO Alex Cassiano. He's a protective security officer at the FPS and IRS Holtzville. At approximately 2000 hours, PSO Cassiano assigned to Post 4, it's a vehicle patrol during the 1600 to midnight shift, reported the sound of rushing water coming from a wooded area near the IRS facility exit. Response was conducted to investigate the report, and upon arrival, at the location, a stream of large water is discovered appearing to originate from underground approximately 15 yards from the exit road. The force of the water undermined several trees, which fell while the situation was being observed, and subsequently caused flooding of public nearby roads. Engineers assigned to the building, along with 911, were immediately notified. Building engineers determined that the entire campus had lost water service. Suffolk County Police Department responded with several units closing 2 neighborhood roads. At 2100 hours, the facility section chief ordered closure of the IRS campus due to the water main break. It is the assessment of the responding supervisor that PSO Cassiano's early suspicion and prompt reporting of unusual conditions significantly reduced potential damage and mitigated risk to public safety. Recognition is recommended for PSO Cassiano's diligent patrol, timely response, and commitment to safety. The most impressive part about that is the time of night, right? That's when everybody's going home, not really busy, not really populated. Really great work keeping, keeping on task, keeping on attention to your job and your responsibilities. So really good stuff. This is now a little bit messed up. Color and the lighting. We'll figure it out. Next, PSO Arthur Jones from FPS Delaware. Mr. Jones consistently goes above and beyond. He always takes on tasks and shifts that others shy away from and plays a crucial role in preventing open posts on this contract. The Delaware contract is incredibly difficult because of how few officers are on that contract. Federal Protective Service contracts are highly regulated, a lot of licensing and certification and regulation there, just that makes hiring not enjoyable and very long and very difficult. So always good when somebody steps up and goes above and beyond. Arthur's always eager to help, never complains, truly embodies the spirit of teamwork. He's punctual and dedicated, and I want to highlight this impressive work ethic. So congratulations to Mr. Jones. And finally, Tony Phillips. This is a really special acknowledgement here for me. And I hope that with Tony being the first official person to plant the flag and taking us to task in putting our money where our mouth is and allowing career advancement, Tony is very, very important to the culture of our organization because of what she's managed to do with her job and responsibilities. So the Protective Security Division would like to recognize Supervisory Protective Security Officer Tony Phillips for her steadfast leadership and dedication while serving as the PSO supervisor for the Smithtown Library contract. Ms. Phillips was instrumental in the success of the contract by providing supervision, direction, and oversight of all Smithtown security operations. Unfortunately, GXC no longer serves as the Smithtown Library security provider. However, this has not stopped Ms. Phillips' pursuit in advancing her career as a security professional. Ms. Phillips has been selected to work as an armed PSO on the DHS FPS Brookhaven contract. Protective Security Division is extremely proud of Ms. Phillips' achievements and happy that she's still part of the GXC family. Her demeanor, professionalism, commitment, and dedication to the mission of GXC is a model for others to emulate. So she has taken an opportunity which she started in our organization and then flipped it into something that's going to create more value for herself. And really, really super proud of Tony for seeing this through. I've had countless officers tell me about wanting to take that next step, and we want to take the next step, but nobody ever seems to do it. Tony Phillips did it, which just goes to show, again, we will do what we say we will do, right? We will do it if you do what you say you're going to do. That's the best possible relationship we can have. A lot of promotions over the last quarter to a lot of deserving people. Of course, you heard in the Protective Security Division, Kelsey Robertson, our Protective Security Division Director, being promoted to Protective Security Division Director. Lane Sands is being promoted to our Director of Account Managers. Nate Bicker, Director of our Strategic Accounts. Chris Kruger is our Director of Operations, formerly the Technical Operations Manager. Unique Rodriguez is going to be filling Chris Kruger's old role as a Technical Operations Manager. Just quickly introduce her to you all. Unique brings nearly 2 years of experience in large-scale event operations and over 6 years in education and leadership. Her event background includes successfully supporting high-volume operations for major sporting and entertainment events such as the MLB London Series, Super Bowl 59, Formula One, and several national music festivals. Before transitioning to event operations, Unique spent 6 years in education where she taught, coached, and built athletic programs from the ground up. She holds a master's degree in sports management from Texas A&M University and a bachelor's degree in exercise sports science from Texas State University. So don't fight her. That strengthened her foundation in organizational leadership, operations, and program development. Her diverse experience and academic background have equipped her with strong skills in communication, strategic planning, and team management. Unique is eager to contribute to GXC's continued success and looks forward to collaborating with the team on upcoming initiatives. So welcome, Unique. And then with all the movement in the technical operations side, Cameron Dietrich, who I would put very close to Kelsey, if not right there, in really capitalizing on opportunities to push themselves and to commit to the organization and its goals and contribute in so many different areas, to include things that just really aren't her job. There is nothing that makes an organization more successful than ownership. Whereas a lot of organizations or people within organizations look at something and say, well, that's not my job. Some folks look at that as an opportunity to say, someone's got to do it, so might as well see what we can figure out, right? And push themselves to kind of try to figure it out. And Cameron has managed to earn a lot of new opportunity for herself by seizing opportunity that was there for the taking. So big congratulations to Cameron Dietrich, who's now our Assistant Technical Operations Manager. She holds a lot of responsibility. And also, again, Elizabeth Niles, congratulations, promoted to Financial Integrity and Budgeting Specialist. Couple questions. We only got 3 questions out of the entire company of all the times we asked, and that's okay, right? Not everybody has curiosity like that. I will tell you, if you have questions about your personal status with the company, whether it's your pay, whether it's your insurance, whether it's your contract, whatever it is, right? Please push that to your supervisor and to HR. This isn't, I don't want to start talking about people's personal situations and, in front of potentially 400 to 500 teammates of ours. So if I don't answer your question, it's because it falls into that criteria, and I really want you to have that privacy and be able to handle these issues internally with the appropriate people. So the one question we got: how do I go about becoming a trainer? I have some certifications, and I'm willing to do whatever is necessary. I understand there are no trainer positions currently in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The way the training positions work, so let me just highlight that for a second. The way the training positions work is basically a trainer will get assigned to a contract, whether it's federal, whether it's non-federal. You kind of line it up with a contract because the contract has to be able to support the overhead that it takes to pay a trainer. So to become a trainer on an FPS contract, the individual must first be recognized and approved by the Federal Protective Service. You submit what's called a key personnel package. They'll look at any training certifications you might have and say whether or not you're going to be allowed to train on that contract. Trainer must have qualified experience in the area they're going to teach in. A resume outlining their experience needs to be submitted to be identified as key personnel on the contract. The individual must also have some type of law enforcement or security teaching certificate from FLETC or a state and local authority. As soon as they're approved by the FPS contracting officer's representative, they're eligible to teach whatever it is they're qualified for. John Peck just received his training as his final approval for the National Weapons Detection Training Program. Now, but to have him train on an actual contract, we have to submit him, right? So it's a very, like I said, highly regulated process, a lot of certifications and all that. So that's work you have to start doing. And we're happy to help you get there, happy to help you trace out a roadmap for yourself, and then provide whatever resources we can to help you do that. But then again, you also have to push it yourself. We can't just bestow it upon you, and it's takes both sides here. And that's it for this month's town hall. I do want to let everyone know we are it's 24 and 25, 48 days away from my fight. As some of you may know, if you don't know, tell you now, I am fighting in the name of charity in a 3-round boxing match here on Long Island, New York. Really appreciate any donations as I'm raising money for this effort to help support families in need. You don't have to at all donate a single penny. If you can, fantastic. Everything goes directly to families and helping them be supported with some assistance because sometimes people need a helping hand. We are going to be able to live stream the fight. So if you want to watch your CEO get punched in the face a bunch of times, you can do that. It's $30 when you buy the live stream. That money goes directly to the charity. So it's not like, I'm not streaming it and charging it $30. It'll be through the foundation, and we're going to share the links for donation and signing up for live streaming and all that after the town hall and a follow-on link. And then we'll put out reminders as it gets a little bit closer, as I do whatever I possibly can to not get knocked out in front of my company and in front of my daughters. So wish me luck. I've been training though. And I feel all right about it. Never miss an opportunity to embrace and understand the responsibility that you all have. I know with the grind and the day to day and how it can sometimes feel monotonous what we do, I know that can settle in, but don't forget the responsibility you have. No matter who you are in this organization, whether you're in payroll, whether you're on post, whether you're at an event, whether you're doing scheduling, right? You all contribute to the overall responsibility that we have for protecting millions of people around the planet every day. And if it's boring, that means we're doing a good job, right? We're controlling what we can control. Inevitably, something will happen that is beyond our control that's going to require your mental acuity, your strength, your sharpness, and all that. Don't forget about that responsibility. It's one that you should hold proudly, and it's one that I don't want you to take lightly. I could not be more proud as the leader of this organization. Everywhere I go, there are opportunities for us because of the work that everybody does. I've said this before, just because it's my initials on the company, even though the best name I've heard given GXC by Chris Urbina, GXC it's actually my initials, Gennaro Xavier Cavazos, but general to extreme countermeasures also plays really nicely. It's a great name, but although it's my name that's, kind of at the face of the company, we don't have a company without you all. That's just the reality. It would be just me, and I can't do it by myself. So I could not be more proud of the level of professional that we have here and the dedication our team has to making sure that people remain safe. It really means a lot to me. Remember, choose progress over perfection. You'll never hear me coming back and asking why things aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. Feel free to make mistakes, but be bold. Don't be reckless. Don't be careless. Push the envelope, but not so hard that you throw it off the cliff. All right? I want everybody to pursue ways to do things better. Again, the next town hall is going to be in December of 2025. Hopefully my black eyes and fat lips and busted nose will heal by then. But really looking forward to that and really looking forward to the fight. Hope to see you all out there soon. Again, if I don't see you, it's not because I don't want to. You see how big we're becoming and how expansive we are. If I had it my way, I'd be able to see every single one of you every day. But that's not the type of organization we run. So I appreciate y'all's patience when you happen to not see me for a while. So again, thank you. Really proud of you all. Keep it up. Keep pushing and keep protecting. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you soon.